let's talk about Daytona. So we're about less than 2 days away from the scheduled start of the regular season finale at Daytona. It's the third year in a row we're gonna have the regular season finale there. So let's talk about the playoff cut line. Speaking of the playoff cut line, I'd like to talk about Kurt Busch first because the news broke earlier Thursday morning that basically he's not gonna be in the playoffs. The doctors have not cleared him to return for Darlington, and this is from the whole concussion thing that he's had. And one of the things about that situation, well, 2311 has withdrawn their playoff waiver. So what it's gonna do? How does this shake up the playoffs? Well, Martin Truex Jr. is now in the playoffs and he is ahead of the cut line 187 points. This means that everybody below the cut line must win at Daytona in order to win the race. And I think they all have a chance because, well, Daytona is a super speedway. Anyone can win a super speedway. So we're going to talk about the playoff drivers, and there are probably four scenarios. Three of these scenarios will put both Blaney and Truex in the playoffs. If we have a repeat winner, then, well, Ryan Blaney, Martin Truex make the playoffs. If Blaney wins, he's in the playoffs, and so if Truex. If Truex wins, he's in the playoffs, and Blaney's in on points. And if we have a new winner, if anyone below the cut line wins, then chances are it's probably Ryan Blaney in the playoffs and Truex misses out. And, I don't have the best opinion on the current playoff format, obviously. I think it should just be, if it's 16 drivers, it should just be the top 16 in points. It should really just have a full points format like they did in the Winston Cup days. Now, anyways, let's just go over these drivers. Ryan Blaney won the All-Star race this year. He is way above the cut line now. I don't know how far he is, but he was 25 points and he's probably at least 200 points. He won the All-Star race, but that's an exhibition race, so it does not count towards playoff points. And now with Ryan Blaney, he could easily win his way in because he won Coke Zero Sugar 400 last year. He won that race last year, and he's good super speedways. He's won 3 different super speedways, unlike Martin Truex Jr. As long as we get a repeat winner, Blaney wins and Truex is in the playoffs. He's never won at a super speedway, but if he did, that'll put him in the playoffs anyway. So it's very likely we'll see Truex in the playoffs. So about the guys below the cut line. Now, I don't remember the exact order of the guys in the cut line. I know Ammar is 17th and Jones 18th, but let's talk about everybody that is currently 17th to 30th. When it comes to full-time drivers, Corey LaJoie and Cody Weir are below the top 30 in points, so they're no longer eligible for the playoffs. Let's talk about these drivers and their chances. First of all, I'm going to talk about Eric Ammar, driver of the 10 car. We thought all year he was going to retire, and he says he's not going to retire, but he hasn't made a final decision. Now, when it comes to Eric Ammar's situation, here's what's appearing. So he is 187 points below the cut line. He's the only guy I know how many points are below the cut line. Now, with Ammar, he is an okay driver of super speedways. 2 of his 3 wins in the Cup Series were super speedways. He has the Mickey Mouse win. I call it rain delayed wins. Mickey Mouse win, rain shortened the win at Daytona. This race actually 8 years ago in 2014, which was the only time that Richard Petty Motorsports, after the post-Evernham merger, won a race. Nope, in the super speedway, I forgot Marcus Ambrose won 2 races in Watkins Glen. But when it comes to, well, Matt, he can win a super speedway. In fact, when it comes to actually getting to the line to win a race, Ammar has done that at Talladega in 2018. He held off his former teammate Kurt Busch at Talladega in 2018 to win that race. So we know he's got that drafting ability. Now for Eric Jones, you can say the same. He has actually won at Daytona in the past too. His first career win came in 2018 when he won at Daytona. So when Jones won at Daytona, we know he's a good drafting guy as well. You know, he has a chance to win. He has a chance to win this race. He almost did win at Talladega. He was leading on the final lap, but Larson, who was pushing him, got out of his way and he finished 6th place. and this led to Ross Chastain winning the race. So we know he has the ability to win at a super speedway. We just don't. That means he has a chance to win. He followed that up in Atlanta from the 6th place finish to a 4th place finish at Atlanta too. So we know he has a chance to win at a super speedway. What about the other guys? Again, I don't know exactly where everyone below the cut line is at, so I'm just gonna name somebody off the top of my head. What about Michael Mcdowell? He, I think, was like 25th in points. That's where he stands, and he won the Daytona 500 in the past. Yes, that was coming from, sort of backed into the win. Mickey Mouse win from Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano wrecking out on the last lap. But McDowell won that race, and that race only. And he followed up Talladega that year, coming third right behind Brad Keselowski and William Byron. So, if you think about it, McDowell is a good super speedway driver, and we know he's a good super speedway driver. He can show that speed. So, with that Daytona 500 win, he has that win in his resume and at Daytona, so we know he can win. Next, I'd like to talk about the two Roush Fenway Keselowski RFK cars. First of all, we got Brad Keselowski. Brad Keselowski hasn't been good that year. He led about, 70-ish laps this year, and almost all of those laps were in Daytona. The Daytona 500 in February, and he had a top 10. He hasn't had that good of a year, not really on the other 3 super speedways after that. He wasn't in contention to win any of the Atlanta races by the end. I think he spun out in the second one. He finished 2 laps down due to speeding on pit road at Talladega, and there was no caution to help him get any of those laps back. Hasn't been that good of a driver. However, when it comes to super speedway wins, he did win the first duel at Daytona. And, considering he won that first duel at Daytona, he, was basically able to. It shows he has that speed at duels. Now I know duels, they don't have many cautions. It's really the pit stops decided to win him, but he still managed to win a race. And his teammate, Christopher Buescher, you can say the same thing for him. RFK actually swept this year's duels. Keselowski won the first one, and Buescher won the second one. So we saw how, Brad Keselowski, Christopher Buescher, managed to win after Logano wrecked on the final lap. Caution came out just barely ahead of McDowell, and was able to pull off a really clutch win. So we know he has the super speedway speeds. It's just, is the luck. It's really, something's kept him from winning a super speedway race. Next up, I'm going to bring up Ricky Stenhouse Jr., another fast super speedway driver. He has won at Daytona the summer race in 2017. He's proven he can win. He's won at Talladega that same year. Those are his lone Cup Series wins, but he had that drafting speed. But, every time we go to a super speedway, we think Stenhouse is going to win, something stops it. This is how he's part of what he owns the nickname Wrecky Spinhouse, because he does wreck in a lot of races, even at super speedways. He has that speed. He knows he has the speed and is able to drafting ability to get up front and win at a super speedway, but he just doesn't have the luck. He's not lucky enough to win at a super speedway. So, it's for him to take that one of the last 2 spots in the playoffs and take Truex out of the playoffs. It really depends if he has the luck. It's not the speed, if he has the luck to be able to actually finish the race. So, next guy I'd like to talk about, Austin Dillon, former winner of the Daytona 500 in 2018. He won when Eric Ammar wrecked out on the last lap, put that 3 car in victory lane at Daytona after 20 years when Dale Earnhardt won it in 98. Now when you come to Austin Dillon, hasn't had that good of a season. He's been very mediocre. However, Dillon is usually a better driver of super speedways. He finished second at Talladega in the spring. So you think, maybe he has a chance to win. He could. But, Dillon's not that great of a season. Doesn't mean he's not going to win. Anyone can win at a super speedway, as long as you have great drafting ability and you have the right speed. Next guy I'd like to talk about, Cole Custer. He hasn't been that great of a driver. I talked about him in my last video, talking about the Kyle Busch contract situation. But when it comes to Cole Custer, he may not have that much of a chance to win. So, if you think about it, Custer probably won't. He's not really that good of a super speedway driver either. So I don't think he's going to really have much of a chance to win. So what about the other guys who are at the bottom? Todd Gilliland sits 30th in regular season points, 29th in the playoff points because of Kurt Busch no longer being eligible for the playoffs. Now, Todd Gilliland hasn't done that great this year, hasn't shown the speed, not super speedways on any track. It's obvious he's been rushed to the Cup Series, considering he hasn't even raced in the Xfinity Series yet. But, you know, he may not have that much of a chance to win, but, we'll see what he does. Another guy, what about the other Dillon brother, Ty Dillon? Also, he's tried to go up front in the super speedways this year, but again, he just hasn't had the luck and has wrecked out in all the races this year. So, Ty Dillon may not have a chance, but he wasn't that good of a driver. Germain Racing is where he started off. He lost the Cup ride last year. So, if you think about what are Ty Dillon's chances, they're still pretty slim. Next guy I'd like to talk about. How about Harrison Bowden? People will probably only remember that Harrison Bowden's been racing this year because of that flip he had at Daytona all the way back in February. He flipped at Daytona, and that's really how people sort of remember racing the Cup Series. He's been okay. He's led laps at the other super speedway races and has tried to make his way up front. So you could tell he could show that good drafting speed. But ever since Daytona, he hasn't really been that great, not even on the super speedways. So if you think about it, we can count out Bowden. Now, what about someone who may actually have a chance? Let's go to College Racing, talk about Justin Haley. Justin Haley has won the last 3 Xfinity Series races during the summer with College Racing in the 11 car. And he also managed to win. Oh, no, he won the last 2 races, I think. And Justin Haley also has a Mickey Mouse Cup win in 2019 with Spire Motorsports when he was running part-time. That's like only his 3rd start, but hey, a win is a win. That was impressive for Justin Haley just to shock the world out of nowhere. And, Justin Haley has the speed to win at super speedways. He's led at super speedways this year, at Atlanta, Talladega, Daytona, wherever. And another thing to point out, so Justin Haley, could he have a chance? Maybe, and he's going to be in an Xfinity Series race this year. He probably has a chance for a weekend sweep. So, it's nice to see him probably try to get that 2nd Cup Series win and his first win as a full-time driver. I know I'm missing somebody, but I don't remember some of the rest of the guys. I feel like I probably covered everyone there is to cover, maybe not. So if I missed anyone, let me know in the comments. And, well, see you guys for episode 3. I'm going to make the thumbnail on me, Matic, and goodbye.